The long-lost culture that doesn't get the name recognition it deserves is Bell-Beaker. You know a culture is obscure when archaeologists name it based on its artifacts alone. Thousands of years ago, a mysterious group known as the Bell-Beakers roamed Europe. They weren't just any ancient folk, they were trendsetters of the Bronze Age, known for their distinctive pottery shaped like upside-down bells. But there's more to these ancient artisans than just fancy cups. The makers of these distinctive drinking cups lived across Europe between about 2800 BC and 1800 BC. They also left behind copper artifacts and graves, including a cemetery of 154 graves located in the modern-day Czech Republic. But let's dive deeper into Baker culture. This culture wasn't just spreading pots and pans, they were moving genes. Ancient DNA shows that the culture that brought Bronze Age technology to Britain was connected to a migration almost completely replacing the island's earlier inhabitants. Part of an international team that examined DNA from over 400 prehistoric skeletons, drawn from sites across Western and Central Europe. The study looked at people buried before and after the arrival of the Beaker culture, which spread across Europe and can be tracked through its distinctive pottery. Researchers found that the skeletal remains of individuals from Britain who lived shortly after this time have a very different DNA profile to those who came before. It seems that there is a large population turnover. In continental Europe, however, the story is different. The new ideas and technologies appear to have spread among different peoples without large-scale migration. What Beaker pottery can tell us? Around 4,500 years ago, a new bell-shaped pottery style appeared in Iberia, present-day Spain, and Portugal. These bell-beakers quickly spread across Europe, reaching Britain fewer than 100 years later. Archaeologists have been unsure whether the spread of Beaker pottery represented a large-scale migration of people, or was simply due to the exchange of new cultures and ideas. Who were the Beaker people? The people who were part of the Beaker culture can be identified as they were buried with distinctive artifacts such as their pottery. The researchers compared the DNA from skeletons buried around Europe from two different periods, before the Beaker culture arrived there and afterward. The study shows that the Beaker culture spread into Central Europe from Iberia without a significant movement of people. Skeletons from Beaker burials in Iberia are not genetically close to Central European Beaker skeletons. Britain saw significant population changes, however. Beaker culture was taken up by a group of people living in Central Europe whose ancestors had previously migrated from the Eurasian steppe. This group continued to migrate west and finally arrived in Britain around 4,400 years ago. The DNA data suggests that over several hundred years, the migrations of people from continental Europe led to an almost complete replacement of Britain's earlier inhabitants, the Neolithic communities who were responsible for huge megalithic monuments such as Stonehenge. The DNA also shows that the Beaker folk would have had generally different pigmentation from that of the population they replaced, who had olive-brown skin, dark hair, and brown eyes. In comparison, the Beaker folk brought genes with a significant reduction in skin and eye pigmentation, with lighter skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair becoming more common in the population. This multi-authored research is the largest study of ancient human DNA ever conducted. Much of the analysis of skeletal remains from England and Wales was conducted at the Museum and University College London, as part of a larger study of ancient human DNA in Britain. That was the work from teams across Europe and the US, using the state-of-the-art ancient DNA analyses we have developed for museum specimens.